the body has the ability to physically store trauma. Yes?
Yes, and on a cellular level.
On a cellular level. So,
very much
talk to me about that for a second. And it's in my limited amount of research and self-proclaimed medical professionalism, which is 0 out of 10. I
would disagree with that.
Thank you so much. I see the body storing trauma as you carry this emotional weight that's reflected in the ability to experience stress more often than if you weren't carrying the trauma, the ability to be triggered by an event or an interaction that reminds you of the trauma that leads to an increase in stress, messes with your cortisol levels, that causes inflammation, antisocial ways of life. And inflammation is just a breeding ground for all types of disease. So what is your reflection on the body's ability to physically store trauma?
I think as a healer, as someone who is interacting with thousands of people, it's an obvious reality. When I decided to do this season, I entered it with the idea that there is an energetic field in the world that people call God, people call vibes, people have many, many different names for it. And religion has always been the place where we talk about that. We talk about power of healing, through prayer and all these things. And what I'm trying to say is that it exists in religion and it should exist in the world of medicine. And I think psychedelic medicine is a path to introducing the idea that vibrations, energetic fields, chi, all of these words, that's a way to show people that it's a very palatable, real thing. We don't have a way to measure it. Maybe we do, and we don't know about it. Maybe I don't know about it, and maybe that's what I'm exploring here, through somatic therapy and through talk therapy and through psychedelic therapy and through comedy. I think that there's an energetic field that we're sharing right now, and then there's an energetic field that is sort of in the whole world that transcends time and space, and I think that it is a very real thing, and it is completely ignored. And it's because medicine is only interested in treating disease, and disease must be measured and I have to have a blood marker for it or a scan for it, and then I can give you a diagnosis code for it, and then I could prescribe you something for it. And I think that whole model completely locks you into a way of thinking that's super, super limited.
Yeah.
And I think that it's very, very obvious that our health is driven by our mood. It's driven by how we look and talk with each other. It's driven by the content and the interactions. It's the interactions we have, but in today's modern age, it's also the content you're sort of ingesting through your phone and through media. And so there's lots of interesting evidence, that energy can be passed and stored and bleeds through our skin. Listening to a podcast about that literally it bleeds through our skin. So I think that's really the goal. The goal is to explain to people or open people's mind to the fact that your health is not just driven by the food and your exercise habits, but by the way you choose to interact with people. I'm not a fan of masking, and that upsets people. And look, the data for masking is really bad as far as it protects you from things. I don't really think it does, and the evidence is overwhelming. There's a recent study that was just published with children that showed that the masking mandates did very little to limit transition of disease, but it did a lot to affect language development.
So that would be, I would consider that a form of trauma.
Yes.
What a lot of kids went through and young people went through during COVID was traumatic. Being separated from your friends and family, not getting the experiences that you typically would have gotten, whether it was prom or sports or college or freshman year, whatever, all of that, and being separated and removed and forcibly told, no, you cannot connect with other human. That's a traumatic experience for a young person. So
but they'll carry with them now.
Right. That and I think that is stored somehow in the cell, and that's what I'm trying to do more research on, right? So if that's true, here's the theory. If you can physically store trauma in your body, then wouldn't the reverse have to be true, where you do have the ability to physically store joy on a cellular level, right? Because if you go down to the atomic scale and you're thinking about it in terms of quantum physics, there's no such thing as solid matter. There's no such thing.
Everything's a vibration.
It's an illusion. All of this is just energy interacting with energy and giving you the illusion that matter is touching matter, right? Everything is a vibration. There's space between everything. So if that's true, then when you're vibrating low because of trauma, and there is a measurable scale, and the lowest level on that scale is shame, and the highest level, I think, is love.
I think it's love.
Is love. I forget. I was just looking at it the other day. It was like shame, and then right under that is
what is
right
it for
above that
you?
is like
There's I don't think there's a rule. There's no rules here.
well, no, but there is a measurable scale, right? So you can measure these different emotions in people and see the actual frequencies that are emanating from the person. And if you're not into that, it's fine, but you should be, because it's real. So that's the theory. If you can store joy in your body, then the theory is that that joy stored at a cellular level is doing the opposite of what the trauma was doing. What the trauma was doing was creating a toxic inner environment for things like disease to be fostered. And if you're storing joy on a cellular level, then you don't have an environment for disease. It's not like the more you laugh, the stronger you're going to get, or the hotter you're going to be.
Maybe you're resilient.
But yeah, you become resilient. It's just you're healthier. That's how you store joy. Is you have healthier, stronger cells that are way more resilient and resistant to things like disease. That's the theory.